buy on dip. So if there is a sudden sharp intraday dip, ONGC becomes an attractive even day trading buy.
Okay, Sudarshan, we'll speak later again, but we're getting very close to the market opening. Just about a minute to go. So for the market opening, Nilesh Shah has joined in to talk about how he sees trade moving. Nilesh, just a minute to go, so you've got last word before the market opening. Are we expecting a rally or a correction today, you think?
I think there'll be a rally.
Significant rally?
Not a very significant rally, but I think it'll positively surprise the street.
That's a good last word to have before the market opens. Should we
Why don't you ask Sandeep quickly before the market
Sandeep,
opens?
you want to go at that as well?
Yeah, we can have a rally in the beginning, but I think by the end of the day, there should be a correction. Especially, I hope for the right reasons, because taxes are up.
That's how it happens often. You get an initial reaction and then sometimes by the end of the day or sometimes the next day it gets
this time it's Friday,
reversed.
so sometimes the market just does everything in terms of digesting the information and reacting to it in that one trading session itself. By Monday, it could be a whole new market.
You know what my big fear was, Mithali? That the NSE will have a mock trading session on Saturday just so that people could trade. Thankfully, that's
operative word being mock.
Yeah. Okay, let's get the opening rates out of the way and then we'll get back to our experts. Many of them, Nilesh Shah is here with us, Sandeep Bhatia there, Vetri Subramaniam joining in the next few minutes, and then, of course, lots of other market experts. It's a flat opening, 2 points up on the Nifty, so the market's holding its punches, 53.85, the Sensex up just about 13 odd points. We haven't got a big start to trade at all. So let me take you through what's moving in early trade in terms of the winners and losers. Reactions are not reactions. Expected moves are not very significant. You've got some move coming into capital goods, BHEL, L&T, JP Associates. These are names which are doing well. Banks are steady. ICICI Bank is holding up. SBI is up in the green. No problems there. Grasim's the biggest percentage gainer, 1.5%. And metals are good. Sterlite, Sesagoa, these are names. But these moves don't seem like they're moving on expectations of the budget. They're pretty random moves of 0.5% or so. So the market basically wants to be lie low, flat, and see what the event is like. For starters, there's nothing barring capital goods and infrastructure, which is moving around a little bit. What's down? Autos, expectedly because of excise duty changes. Tata Motors, M&M, Maruti are the top three losers, all down between 1 to 1.5%. Reliance is down a bit, Axis Bank is down a little bit, and so is Kotak Mahindra Bank. So some of the private banks and primarily autos in the large cap space are opening with modest cuts today. What about the mid caps, Mithali?
Same bunch of budget day performances that you see. So the index itself is flat. The market breadth opens up in the positive. Let's hope that lasts, because it's not a very tight gap, 300 to 200 between advances and declines. It's a lot of these government-based companies that are rallying hard. ITI up nearly 6% in trade today. HMT follows with a 3% rally. It's possible something comes through because a grant has been promised for companies like ITI, but let's just wait and watch on whether there's any detail this budget round. So those are the spaces that open up nicely. Jain Irrigation is seeing some strength. Always expect a focus in terms of rural agriculture, etc. So both Jain Irrigation and the DVR are up between 3 to 4%. Kingfisher Airlines from aviation opens up, while Jet Airways opens in the red. So there is some weakness on that front. And just a couple of other specific names. Watch out for Titan. Yesterday, the economic survey as well talked about some kind of import duty being slapped on gold. There is talk about launching some kind of tax on premium products, premium gold products as well. So Titan is a little bit soft today in trade. And there are a few other stray performances like infrastructure. GVK and GM are doing okay. And of course, the education-based stocks. So NIIT, EduComp, EdServe, all those faces in the green. Otherwise, this is your token budget rallies on the mid caps.
Yeah, it's very, very flat. Not much has happened. But who knows, maybe if the budget is a non-event and there's not too much by way of a negative surprise, you could after all strike out a rally. But Nilesh, your thoughts on the rally, is it because you think there's so much liquidity and people want to buy, they just want to see the budget out of the way, and if there is no big negative, they might actually go on and buy the market?
Absolutely. I think global headwinds are really working in favor of the Indian markets. I think because there's so much of global liquidity around, any opportunity where you see a downtake, I think that liquidity will be looking to deploy that liquidity in the market. So I clearly think that the rally, basically the roots of that will be in the global liquidity. So I think one is that. Two is, I think after a very long time, you would actually see a very prudent budget. which might be neutral to negative at the very micro level in terms of fresh taxes, be it excise duty, be it service tax. But I think from a very macro perspective, I think the balance sheet and the areas like deficit, I think will look a lot better, and you would actually see a very strong effort on the part of the finance minister to try and essentially restore some of the imbalances which have creeped up over the years. So I think that will be a very strong message to the institutional investment community.
Inching back to 5400 for the market, so stabilizing somewhat today in trade. Vetri Subramaniam joins in with his expectations from the budget this time round. Vetri, what do you think it's going to be? A day where we end up with a rally, or a day where we end up with, well, not much for the market?
Hard to say, but I think the markets will just be happy that the event is out of the way at the end of the day. So let's just hope there isn't something very acutely negative. I think the good news is that, in a sense, the expectations about this budget are sort of minimal, or just sort of basic hygiene level expectations, and also at some level the events of the recent days have really toned down expectations that the government might do something very dramatic. So I think the stage is set, in a sense, that even if Pranab Mukherjee can deliver on some basic hygiene sort of measures, the market will be reasonably assuaged.
Sandeep, before we talk about anything else, you're an old ITC watcher, and a regulation question on budget day about ITC. Are we going to get 15% plus excise, or do you think they'll get away?
Give him options: 10, 14, 16.
I think Sandeep will give me options. What do you think, Sandeep? It will be a kind budget for ITC or not this time?
No, I think we are all braced for a bit of 10% plus. I would put my finger on between 12 to 14. So somewhere there is where it should be, and it's I think it's anyway structurally this business can manage excise duty in the region of 6-7%. So we have had a couple of good years. I think 2 years where we didn't see much happening. So I think everyone's braced for that. But if there is a if there is a hit on that stock price, I would buy it. Anything below 180 is a fantastic buying opportunity for the stock.
Vetri, a lot of people are pointing out that consumer may be the space to watch this time round, even though the thrust of performance has really been with rate sensitives. How would you play this portfolio wise?
Well, in the context of the budget, actually, it's slightly tricky, because I think if you really look at it from the bigger picture, the essential sort of rebalancing that we need to carry out as an economy in terms of our macroeconomic direction is to sort of reduce the extent to which we have been sheltering consumers from the real world in terms of prices and the kind of subsidies and handouts that we've been giving, and to then actually redirect those resources towards investment by making those resources available to industry and reducing the size of the government borrowing program. So when you think about it in that context, really the macroeconomic direction that we need is to sort of remove the resources from the consumption area, because that's proving to be fiscally unsustainable, and redirecting it towards investment. The question is, are you really going to take the kind of decisions that need to be taken to implement this sort of a change in government support away from consumption and towards investment, because it involves a lot of politically sensitive decisions. And I think if the government is not able to move ahead in terms of taking those tough decisions, then the consumption space just continues to get supported.
If we do get excise duty hikes, Nilesh, today, and do you expect autos to react, and if yes, would you see it as a buying opportunity?
I sense it would be a kind of a knee-jerk reaction. There would be a knee-jerk reaction